Have you ever walked into a space that completely blew your mind? Like everywhere you look, there's something really fascinating to see? That's this space. It's the Artisan Works, and we'll learn more about it from the owner and also take a look at some of the stories we've highlighted over the last few months.
Arts in Focus is made possible in part by a gift from Drs. Dawn and Jack Lipson to support performance, innovation, and accessibility of the arts in the Rochester community.
My father was an artist, graduated from RIT in 1951. I was immersed in music and art my entire life, but I also realized that artists didn't make enough money, so many of them had other careers. My mission, my goal in this whole project was to support creativity. The way that Artisan Works runs, which is primarily an event space in terms of income, right? And so you create these amazing spaces, right? We buy bodies of work, which no one does, and we fund projects that would not even be created. We fund projects that were already created in some ways, and then sometimes we dictate what we want created. Then the next thing, of course, is people become members, people donate all kinds of really cool stuff.
This is the Juke Joint. Can you talk about the Juke Joint, like for people who don't know what that is?
In Mississippi in 1912, in the middle of the woods, what sprouted up is like a barn, and it was filled with, you can get haircut, dry goods, lunch, and then at night it would be cleared out, and then the musicians would come in. Oftentimes blues musicians and dancing and alcohol, all illegal down south. And then that evolved into now what we know as in the 50s, they jam all this music into a little box they call a jukebox.
And can you tell me about some of the pieces here? Like I was looking at the bar, and like, was this created here?
Yeah, it was right there on that spot. Paul Hoffman had a flair with a tree would come down, this is walnut, and that was it. Bought the tree, he came in for some months, and he built this.
With a space like this, like you put a lot of detail into what goes into the room. How did you choose these pieces? Did you select them, and did you take them from a drawing? Like, how did you recreate a juke joint? Like, it looks realistic.
In terms of the mix and match of a lot of our artists that we've been working with for years, these pieces are all very specific to work that was done for this room.
You know, music has such an influence on me, on so many people, and on Rochester. And recently, there was a Girls Rock Rochester camp. Well, Girls Rock Rochester is teaching girls, like it's helping to build their self-confidence through music performance and through music creation. And it's really wonderful work that they're doing, so I want us to check it out.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's cool. Really cool.
On the first day, the campers come and they start to choose band members. So they don't know who's going to be in their band until that first day.
You're gonna be nervous when you walk in, oh my God, there's so many new people. But once you get there, everyone is there to be your friend and to help you along the way.
Girls Rock Rochester is part of an international movement called the Girls Rock Camp Alliance that uses music as a vehicle to promote confidence in girls and trans youth. We do that with 2 programs. One is our Girls Rock Camp program, and then we have a second week, which is Pride Rock Camp.
Because I like to move and dance a lot when I play bass.
So I always thread it up through the strap like this, and then down. Yeah, remember? So then when you're jamming out, if you like step on your cable, it's not gonna rip it out of your bass.
A, 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 up to D, 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 up to E, 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 and down to A, 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 A.
Let's do me, 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 me.
In the morning, they go to instrument instruction or they attend a workshop. And then in the afternoon, it's all band practice. So they come up with an original song. And on Saturday, they perform at a live music venue in the city of Rochester.
You can change me and I'll survive. No more fighting, no more battles, 'cause I'm tired of being left like cattle. If you yell, then I'll yell back, and I'll push my fist out like no ties.
Girls rock is very like feminist, yeah, we can do it, and queer rock is more the same but for LGBT folks.
For the past 2 years, I've been doing both Girls Rock and Pride Rock. I really appreciate this space and have come to really love it and cherish it and just feel at home in it.
Knowing that you're in a queer space just makes it that much more comfortable because we're already feeling free to be ourselves, and that on its own took away the anxieties of doing good enough because it's so encouraging here and you're so encouraged to just do stuff, and instead of saying, I'm sorry for playing a wrong note, you say, I rock. That's great.
You know, when you're standing there getting ready to go on, there's always like a huge pit in my stomach, but like once I'm on that stage, everything goes away and you're just singing. I just love this camp so much.
Louis, being a collector of so much art and all these unique things, I would imagine it's gotta be kind of difficult to like choose a favorite. But if you could choose like maybe something in your collection that really stands out, what would that be?
That's the trouble question. Oh yeah, I represent hundreds of artists. Let's pick one and make 99 mad.
Sorry, I don't mean to get you into trouble.
No, I'm not in trouble. No, but it's really a great point because I think a lot of times people even question the collection, the quality. You know, they'll look at the, again, snob appeal. They'll look at some of the big names. Oh, this is wonderful. And the fact of the matter is, I think pieces that sometimes mean something. Not only do I love everything in this building, you'd be hard pressed. You point to something, say, well, you love everything in here? Yeah, I picked it and I love it.
Yes.
So yeah, but I think some things have a meaning, become sentimental.
I'll let you know what piece always kind of jumps out for me. That is this wooden motorcycle. Like, it's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So who's the artist?
My friend, Ross Ryder, he was always a self-taught artist.
Wow.
Sculptor. So every building I had any of my businesses in, he would always take the first floor and fill it with all his equipment and build and create sculpture. But this piece was the first time he was doing all these organic tables. He and Wendell Castle did a lot of the same things.
Okay.
Never met each other, and were doing very similar organic type work. But when he did this was the first time he decided he was going to do an exact replication. So we have the Harley motorcycle. We then spent 3.5 or 4 years taking it apart painstakingly, every nut, every bolt, every screw. So he created the motorcycle. It was about a 4-year project. So not only is that incredible, of course, Jay Leno sat on it, not here. He was at the Eastman doing a show, and we brought that for the fundraiser, and he sat on it, and I kept praying, don't try to use the brake, or because if you try to use it, it'll break in your hand. So I was sweating bullets that night.
So Louis, another jaw-dropping room. This is just insanity. I don't know how you pulled all of this together, but you've got like a giant pencil sharpener, this innards of a clock. Like, can you explain this? What room are we in?
This is the entry to Artisan Works. So this is where you go right to the front door, you enter, you get welcomed, and then they begin the process of explaining the room. But this particular room is a tribute to the American worker. So that's why there's a lot of inventions from the last century made in wood, the larger-than-life sculptures. So there's a lot of things here, worker-related, but also enjoyment-related, because this place is fun.
Why is it important to have Artisan Works in Rochester?
If you ever experience an event here where you're physically here and there's a few hundred people and you've got people cooking food and you've got people playing music and you got people dancing and people partying and experiencing the overall creativity filled with all art, mostly from local artists, then you realize that that is part of the fabric that creates cities like this. So I think it's really important that people go out and support all different forms of the arts. People come in here, you walk around here for 2 hours, it's clearly an experience that changes you. That's clear to me, and that's probably one of the most important things to me, creating that experience. Anytime you're here, somebody's playing the pianos, there's music, there's something going on. There's some great food being cooked up right in the kitchen here.
I can smell it.
Yeah, you can smell that. and so there's all these tie-ins that create like the perfect event, really. But it's really all arts. It's all really the arts, and they kind of come together in that group. And I don't know what to tell you. It's mind-boggling, I think.
It's absolutely mind-boggling, and that's the thing about Rochester. Rochester is the city of arts and culture. And we have the Fringe Festival, as you've heard of, that takes place here every year. And there's never an end to the amount of talent that you see there. And this year, the Fringe Festival featured a performance with local deaf performers. And it was pretty exciting.
Hashtag deaf talent. Well, it's truly about showcasing that deaf talent.
Hashtag deaf talent is a show here at the Lyric Theater for the Rochester Fringe Festival.
And here in Rochester, we have the largest population of deaf people in the country. So it's really, really important to show what we can do here, where we live.
And I feel like that talent was just where we finally have an opportunity to express ourselves with food, art, ESL, dance, many different skills that we express.
I used to be on tour with a group called the Bay Area International Deaf Dancers Festival. It was really inspiring and beautiful to see so many talented, extremely skilled deaf dancers. And for me, it was really truly the first time that I felt inspired and that I was surrounded by people just like I was, and it really just clicked that I had to bring that type of event back home to Rochester.
I feel when the hearing audience or the hearing people locally, when they hear about the deaf and the skills that we have, they be more perceptive. So we just have to put it out there that we have this kind of skill to offer to the audience. Artists, musicians, dancers, performers, entertainers, aerialists, all of the above.
We have so many talented performers. There's a ballerina, and she also does aerial rope. We have hip-hop dance. There's ASL storytelling and ASL poetry. There are also other people that are signing songs. There's also a deaf drag queen that we have on our cast. So there's just really a lot of variety here, and it's a really beautiful group of people that we've all brought together. But I guess I really want the audience to know that not all deaf people are exactly the same, that we're all unique and we're all individual people. Some people speak verbally and some people use sign language, but what's important is to ask. But also, don't limit us, because I can do anything a hearing person can do except hear. And that's a very famous quote in the deaf community from Dr. I. King Jordan.
I was in the hearing professional ballet world for 10 years. It's really tough to be in the hearing deaf ballet world because the choreographer assumes you can't hear the music, so it means I have to be put behind the dancers so I can watch them. You know, I can dance. Just put me there. I just have to hear the music over and over and over and over and over and over. And I also use my peripherals vision as well.
We practice a lot. Like, no matter how many times you listen to music, still have to practice over and over and over. No matter how annoying it is, still have to listen to music all the time. I feel thankful because I'm glad that I have this opportunity to be part of the show. I'm sure if we increase more, if we see more deaf talents, maybe every year, then that's where people will see more, will get more representation. Maybe that's just the beginning.
Their audience responses to the show are raving about it. And I'm not just saying this as a performer. I ask, what do you thought? And they'll always say, wow. A lot of positive reviews about it. A lot of them are learning sign in the process too.
There are a lot of people who tend to set limitations and they tell them, you can't do this, you can't. But we're here to tell them, you're wrong, we can. And to understand the importance of showing what we can accomplish and not focus on oddest barriers and things that we can't do.
So Louis, how do you support local artists? Like what platform do you give them?
The only way you help an artist is you work with them as an institution, you buy bodies of work, and then you help them in other ways to figure out how to make a living. In this case, for an example, April Stein. So she's an individual that showed me some work 10 or 12 years ago. Oh, we looked at some work. Oh, that's fine, we'll buy some pieces. She creates paintings, which are great. They're in a couple of the hospitals in town. They're all over in the building. Okay. She also plays music. She's a musician. But the reality is, in order to really make a living, you need to be working in an area that's bringing in more money. The events business, for an example. Guy from Tucson who's makes these cameras. Everybody looked at him, well, what is he? He makes these cameras. Is he an engineer? Right. Is he a photographer? He does theme cameras. He does the HIV camera, where he photographs very specific portraits of people who've been infected with the disease all over the world, and he does it through this glaze of infected blood, which everything is red toned. We support his project by buying the camera. But I think the most important thing for us is to actually feed the artist, and then that goes on to feed our society.
Walking into this room the first time, this is a spectacular space. Like, how did you bring this all together?
Just finished the French Quarter, and one of our biggest patrons, he says, I was thinking about it. He said, one of these days, he said, you should build Casablanca. You know, that was my favorite movie. And we built this room based on the set, the Hollywood sets, because nothing was shot in Morocco.
Okay.
Very few people know everything was shot in Hollywood, and they were all stage sets. So we studied those, even the signs, that we have.
So where did you end up buying? Like, where do you get the decor from?
That Steinway piano was donated. A 1924 Steinway, spectacular instrument, right? Then my friend from Washington who did the library, Gerald Johnson, he hears we're building Casablanca. Well, he has a big collection of lamps from Morocco.
Wow.
So he sends his lamps. So that's why you get that whole, you're getting that vibe of where you walk in, where you're feeling the art on the walls as well as you're feeling the vibe from the old furnishings. This has a different vibe than a lot of our event spaces.
Yes, it does.
This is walking into Casablanca.
Speaking of worlds inside of the world, I just recently went to a haunted house, which is a creation and it's a world of its own. It was called Nightmare Manor. It's out in Henrietta. I dare you to take a visit.
Who dares enter Nightmare Manor?
Well, Nightmare Manor is in our 19th year in Rochester. Basically, this all started by me having a haunted house in my basement, and that turned into a haunted house in my basement, my house, my backyard. And at one point, somebody came to me and said, "Why aren't you doing this professionally?" And I went, "Well, that's a good idea." I love the artistic design of the stuff. The creativity of it is part of it. It's art. It's a passion in a way. My attraction, or basically a haunted house in general, is very much like a roller coaster ride. The anticipation of being outside and looking at all the design and stuff, going, "Oh my God, I'm going to go in this thing. Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it?" And they let you out, and it's ups and downs or things you don't expect, twists and turns. Well, I don't think people even realize sometimes what goes into this. I don't think they realize when they pay their ticket, how much blood, sweat, and tears goes into building something like this. Many people come through here and like the roller coaster, it's and they don't see anything. But they had a great experience. And then I do have some patrons that come early on or off times because they really want to see what we've done and they want to enjoy that. Honestly, I love that people come through and enjoy the art, but hey, if they went through and they got scared and they went through at the end, they're screaming at the end, they're all laughing at each other, that's part of it. It's like a play or a performance. Everybody gets something different out of it. What is it on the theater? You get the happy face and the crying face, so here you get both of that. It's very much a stage production every night. People get into makeup. They prepare themselves mentally. We redo scenes. We fix, just to make that production the same as it was the night before.
What I do when trying to get into character, I think about the space. Where am I? Why am I there? What is my character doing? How'd they end up in that area? And I kind of just play around with it until I feel right.
Scaring people is not as easy as it seems. There's a lot of timing, there's a lot of vocal work and emoting that you gotta do for scaring. It's not just jumping out of a dark shadow and going boo. There's a lot more to it than just that. And it feels like you're on the set of a movie, so everyone's in costume, everyone's getting in character, you're getting ready for your scene.
When I started this, the expectation wasn't as high as it is now. As technology and movies and special effects gets more, it tends to raise the bar for the haunted house industry and us. So, what used to be just black painted walls and a scary actor in the corner now has to be what you see now in more detail. A lot of times I'll go through here in the pitch dark with my flashlight or with the lights on and go, "Oh yeah, that needs to be changed," and I'll talk to the guys or I'll get out my paint and start redoing a room. A lot of stuff here is original. It's just me having a crazy vision, or one of my actors going, well, I got an idea. Then we'll sit around, talk about it, and we'll design the walls and the basic structure, and then we'll come in and do the design of the room and decide how we want to lay it out. But that's basically how we come up with a room design. I'll sit by and watch people go through something and see the reaction that I've anticipated, and it's just very heartwarming and satisfying for me to see the artwork that not only I did, but my staff did. And it's an incredible feeling to see what your passion come to life.
All right, let's do it. Yes.
Okay, it's like we're going further and further into darkness. Whoa! Oh my God! Wow, these actors are really into this. And this has to be one of the funnest. As I was saying, this has to be one of the funnest haunted houses that I've walked through. I had so much fun at Nightmare Manor. Thank you for watching. Keep following our digital series on Facebook. See you next time.
Arts in Focus is made possible in part by a gift from Drs. Dawn and Jack Lipson to support performance, innovation, and accessibility of the arts in the Rochester community.